Hi guys, Eric here with another review. You can see a different background this time. Switching it up again. This is my work desk. You can see this is where I build my Gundams. You can see my my paintbrush, X-Acto blade, side cutters. You know, the usual Gundam stuff. But this time we're gonna be looking at something new. I'm actually really hyped to have this. About as hyped as it was in the last review. I'm doing a character from one of my favorite video games. The McFarlane Gold Label Walmart exclusive series, Geralt of Rivia, as he appears in The Witcher 3. And this is a very, very well done figure. I'm actually very blown away by the quality in this. A lot of American figure companies now, I mean, the Lightning Collection is really good. McFarlane does, excuse me, a lot of the DC figures. And it's really cool. They're doing a lot of different lines. But they really blew this one out of the water, you know. Just get a quick 360. Really, really nice detail on it. I mean, you can see the detail from back here, you know. Look at all that stuff. But before I talk too much about the figure, I want to show the box, and we'll get to that in a second. Here we have the box, and, you know, this is not a toy, it says right there. You can see that, get a little closer. Yep, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Like I said earlier, McFarlane Gold Label series collection. You know, the Spawn sign. He's the author of Spawn. He does have a stand in there. I don't want to take it out because it'll ruin the packaging, but I will put a photo in 1 second. Geralt of Rivia, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. CD Projekt Red, amazing game. You guys should definitely play it. It says this is not a toy right up here, but you know, it is what it is. McFarlane Toys. It's a lot of runes up here. These are actually the runes for his spells. I believe this is Ard, Igni, Axie. I don't remember this one. He has a lot of spells though. That's what he does. Does it in the show too, the Netflix show. Geralt of Rivia, and we get a little product photo on the back. 22 moving parts. CD Projekt Red. Sorry if you guys see the ring light. I mean, it's just my light, you know, my light setup. But yep, that's the box. Nothing on the bottom, just numbers. Now let's jump back into the figure. Now here we are back with the figure, and like I said, it's really, really nice. Take off his scabbard in a little bit, and I'll show you guys these in a second, but this figure looks super, super, super nice. He looks just like he does in the video game. Geralt looks very, very much like his 3D model, and I will definitely put up a photo of him and his 3D model right around here. But the sculpting on this thing is insane. McFarlane Toys always knocks it out of the park. You can see here, his little Witcher medallion is even painted in, or sculpted in very nicely. It's very pointy, by the way. It's a hard plastic compared to his chest and stuff. But some of the details is his face is sculpted very, very well, and has a lot of nice paint detail, a lot of shading. You can see the scar and his cat-like eyes. The Witcher cat eyes, they all have eyes like that. He has scars on his face. You know, it's sculpted very well. It looks like it came out of the game. A lot of stitching detail. All this is actually a rubber piece over like a skeleton. This whole thing is like a rubber piece. But looking at more detail, you can see all these nicely sculpted things here. Even his bandolier here has nice leather accents. Nice belt, and very, very nice detail on his pants, the knees, the boots. Very nice coloring. Very, very nice. You know, some closer detail. The paint shading on this figure is also immaculate. And that's also one of the gripes I have with it. See the back real quick before I talk about more. This figure looks super nice. You know, the face has a lot of nice shading, but some of my problems is the paint is very flat. I mean, you can just tell all this stuff has no shading. None of it has shading. Even like the gloves don't have any shading. But they do have really nice sculpting, as you can see here. And his armor. This is actually his basic Witcher armor, like the one you get at the start of The Witcher 3. And I love the way that it looks. It looks just like chainmail. And an advantage to this rubber style of stuff is that it doesn't get in the way at all of any of his articulation. But before I show that, I will show you his accessories. And here we are back with the accessories, and he comes with 4, these 2 swords, his scabbard and that stand that I pictured earlier. But this is the scabbard for his Witcher silver sword and his steel sword, and it just pegs in the back like so. And it's all right, but it does like to flop around a lot. And it kind of sits at a weird angle. It doesn't really touch his back like this. It just goes like this. And it gets kind of loose, but, you know, it looks pretty good. And it's, you know, the sculpting is all there. It has very, very nice sculpting. And for the most part, the paint is all right. It's just the lack of paint. Like, you can see a lot of these sculpted details here. And in his costume, you know, like all this chipped metal, this metalworking, or all these just finely sculpted details, but you can't really see them because there's no shading. Like, he has all this nice sewing, this nice hair, you know, all these really nicely sculpted clothes. This little hook here, it's rubbery. And, you know, like the detail on his pants, but no paint shading to show for it. Anyway, that's the scabbard. Now let's look at his swords. This is his Witcher steel sword. And super, super nice length. This thing is really long compared to him. It's at least 5 inches, honestly. If he's a 7, this is at least 5 or 6. But really, really nice. This is the steel sword, the Witcher steel sword. You can see here, you know, just a basic silver. And it would have been really nice if they painted it. But, you know, it is what it is. This is a Walmart exclusive, you know. You would expect a little bit more. But, yeah, you know, it's just sculpting on the hilt. And I don't remember which exact blade this is, since there are a lot of them, but, you know, it has a really nice twisted crossbar design right here. It's twisted. Little centerpiece going down here. Yep, that's his Witcher steel sword. You can see some, like, battle damage here. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be there. But, yep, this is the steel sword, and it just slides in the scabbard like this. And now let's look at his silver sword. Just slides out like so. And this is the really, really, you know, the nice one. There's a lot of runes sculpted in there. You know, same color, same flat silver color. Nice runes. It has the double wolf head right there. Could be a snake, but I think it's a wolf head. You know, the hilt. Same exact thing, you know, very, very nice points too. And they fit in his hands very well. They just slide in like so. Like that. It is a bit difficult to get them in the first time since his hands are sculpted kind of oddly, but, you know, once it's in there, it looks good. You know, it is the Witcher. And they both look really, really nice with him. He can dual wield. He doesn't do it in the game, but he can. You know, the steel sword is for humans, and the silver sword is for monsters. I'll get him a nice little pose like that. And, you know, this figure is pretty solid so far. You know, it is hollow on the back, actually. It did break on mine. You can see where I glued it, but I fixed it. Now let's look at his articulation. And now we're going to go ahead with the articulation. And like I said earlier, this is all just like, I would say this is like a rubber piece over a skeleton, you know. And this has advantages and disadvantages, well, I'll get to in a second. But his articulation is, his head goes down a little bit, up. Now, I mean, down more so than it does up because of his hair sculpt. Which I said is sculpted a very nice little ponytail. It does go left and right. It definitely struggles to go left and right because his hair does get caught under his shoulder armor. Like I said, this is all rubber. It's an actual separate piece going along the entire thing. But his arms go forward, back, out, and you can see this is really nice design because it just flows. Know what I mean? Upper bicep swivel, cut right here. And yeah, this armor doesn't restrict any articulation at all. It's just rubber, and sometimes it overlaps like this, but it doesn't kill the design as in, I mean, it looks good either way. I mean, it looks more natural like this, but it doesn't kill the design if it goes like this either, because it's soft rubber. He does have a double jointed elbow, but it does like to hit right here on his upper arm armor, but it works, you know. He does have a wrist hinge. It does do a full 360, and his hands do rotate all the way, and it lets you get a nice angled grip when he's holding a sword. And this is the really weird part. I mean, it's practical, but it looks kind of bad. He doesn't really have a rotation, right? But he does have a mid-section joint, but it like exposes his, you know, to get it to work. It just looks odd. You know, his body is still bent in there, but the armor just restricts the movement. But I mean, you can get most of the poses. It's just not having a waist swivel is very, very cumbersome. Like it's annoying kind of. But moving on, he does have articulation in the chest that works. You know, you could just do it like this and it doesn't look that bad, but you know, it could be better. But his legs do go forward, back, all the way out. And this is also like a diaper type of thing. This is rubber down here. You saw it earlier. This is also like a rubber piece. No upper thigh swivel, but he does have 2 double jointed knees. Very, very hard to bend double jointed knees. 360 at the ankle. Foot goes down and up. Does have a nice ankle pivot and a toe pivot. Let's get to some comparisons. Now here's Geralt with some other 7.5-inch action figures. Here he is next to Azrael, also from the McFarlane DC Comics line. And here he is next to a foreign figure, Kamen Rider O, Puto Tira Combo, from the SIC line. And you can see, you can't really see it on camera, but Azrael is just a little bit taller than Geralt. And I want to attribute that to his hood, but I could be wrong. But I think it's his hood because they're pretty much on eye level. Here he is with Azrael. And him and Kamen Rider O, they're almost the same size, I want to say. It's just Kamen Rider O's design. You know, he has a gigantic thing up there. But, you know, they're really in scale, you know. It's honestly in scale. See that? They can face each other. And they're basically, you know, the scale works. The scale works really well. Now let's get on to the final thoughts. Here's actually another comparison before I go to my final thoughts. Here he is next to a standard 6.5-inch action figure. Tommy, the White Ranger from the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. You can see Geralt just towers over him. You know, this is like 7.5 inches. I'm pretty sure it's just a 7-inch figure. But yeah, this is him. This is Tommy. Back to back. Even standing up a little straighter, he still towers over him. Now let's get on to some final thoughts. And here are with my final thoughts. This figure is definitely, I would say, if you can find it, pick it up. I was very pleasantly surprised because this is actually the first Geralt action figure there is. There is another McFarlane Geralt, but he's a statue. And all the other Geralt stuff they're not really figures, you know. And this is an amazing game. I got the character from an amazing game. And, you know, he looks clean. He looks good. He looks just like he does from the video game. I would say the only knock against it is the paint kind of sucks. You know, actually, the lack of paint sucks. And his chest articulation could have been done better, but this is definitely a solid figure to add to your collection. And guys, I want to say, peace out.